Hello everyone! I am so excited for this build and this series in general. This build series? Yeah, that one. I can't wait to bring you guys along as I swap a ALH out of a 2001 Volkswagen Jetta into my 1988 Toyota pickup with the 3VZ E in it. Which means it has the R150 transmission. I have four main goals for the swap series. I want it to be affordable. My goal is to be between 2.5 and 3K, like completely installed running. Because I, like many of you I'm sure, I'm just not made of money. And I don't really want to spend an arm and a leg on something that, you know, may break. I'm sure eventually I'll spend that much on this build. I'm sure this is going to become something that I'm going to love and put more and more money into and more time into and just build it up and up and up. But for right now, it's going to do the basics. My second goal for this build series is for it to be very comprehensive. I want you guys to be able to watch one of my videos and then feel confident and comfortable enough to go tackle that, whatever I was doing in that episode on your own. My third goal, and this is a really important goal, is that it's reliable, because it's going to most likely be my daily driver after I finish this, just because of the fuel economy that I'm going to get out of it, hopefully, fingers crossed. And because two of the parts are already like notoriously reliable, that means that the inconsistencies are going to fall on me. So I need to make sure my fab work is good, and I also need to make sure that the parts I pick are good and of high quality. And my fourth big goal is to make this series more or less universal, so you can swap anything into anything. Of course, you're not going to be able to follow me one for one to swap anything to anything, but the like big overarching ideas should be very applicable to all other swaps. So, Scott, you're thinking, why the hell did you pick a TDI? I mean, I could have picked anything. And actually, I did pick something else at first. I picked a Toyota 1UZ, which is the, well, technically Lexus's 1UZ, but for what I'm using this build for, what I'm using this truck for, I just think that the TDI was going to be better. It's, like I mentioned already, the TDI is just notoriously reliable. So reliable, it's so reliable. And there are 1,000 examples of that all over the internet, and in real life. Another was that this engine is just so cheap and easy, like your mom. Kidding. But the engine itself is very cheap and very easy to work on. You can find a parted out, scrapped out one of these on Copart or on Craigslist or on OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace. You can like buy the car for like 600, 700 bucks, pull the engine out and scrap out the rest of the car and literally make all of the money back. It's not what I did, but you can do that. Another reason I chose it is for the fuel economy. Hopefully the fuel economy I get out of it is going to be leaps and bounds better than what I was getting out of the 3VZ E at the end of its life. I was getting like 14 miles per gallon at the end of its life. And I should easily be getting double that, which is going to be really nice, especially in this day and age when fuel is so expensive. Another thing is that the just overall popularity of this engine is insane. It's such a popular engine. And so parts for it are just really readily accessible. The aftermarket community is just massive. So if I wanted to push big power, which maybe one day I will, or just, you know, a little bit more than what I'm getting, I'll be able to do that with relative ease and access to the parts that I need. And why am I doing the swap in the first place? Well, I blew the head gasket on my 3VZ, and if it was the 22RE, I would have just rebuilt it and went on my merry way, because, you know, it's 22RE. But it's not. It's the 3VZ, which is like barely any more power, and like it weighs twice as much and just not even close to fuel efficient. So I opted for a swap, and here we are. I bought an engine, you know, and a shit ton of parts already. I've got a lot of parts coming. And speaking of parts, let's go over the kind of parts you'll need to do a swap like this. So first and foremost, of course, you're going to need a chassis to swap the engine in and out of. You're going to need an engine as well, obviously. You're going to need a cooling system and all the parts that go with it. You're going to need an intercooler if it's turboed. You're going to need a whole new fueling system, maybe. Maybe you won't need a new fueling system. Like, I'm not really going to need much of anything at all. You're going to need a harness, wiring harness. You're going to need an ECU, tuning solution if you're going to be running electronics or a computer at all. You could do all of this with like no electronics, which is one of the cool things about the LH is you can make it like EMP proof and run it with no electronics. you need to have a way to mount it to your chassis and a way to connect it and mate it to your drivetrain, your transmission. And in the next episode, I think we'll be taking the engine out, and I'll record that and show you guys how to do that. And thank you for tuning in to my first video on this build series.